Hi guys, this is Danae. I know it's been a while. I'm just coming here to make a video about letters of recommendation, right? So when you're trying to get into PA school, it's very important for you to have a letter of recommendation. And I think typically they require 3 letters of recommendation. What I would recommend is having one from an employer, one from an academic source, so a professor, a dean, if you have a good relationship with your dean. Also, the last one I would say by a healthcare professional, but even more specifically, I would say by a PA. So I feel like one of the things that really completes your package or your application is having a letter from a PA, right? You want someone who is in the field to say, you know what, this person has potential. I think they would make a great PA. You should allow them into your PA school. So the thing that prompted this video is actually this cycle. I wrote about 4 letters of recommendation, and it was my first time being on the opposite side. Usually I've always been the person asking for letters of recommendation or having people offer to write them for me. And that's actually how I got my letters of recommendation. I think I might have had 2 letters from professors, one or two from PAs, maybe one from a PA, one from a doctor. I might have had a couple, but I actually had a PA offer to write me a letter of recommendation because she admired my work ethic. So this year was my first time being on the opposite side of it, so now I can give some advice on how people can go about obtaining that letter of recommendation. One thing I will say is important is timing, right? I had 4 letters all in the same time frame, and I take that responsibility very seriously. So it takes me about 2 weeks for one letter to be completed, and I also do them in order. So whoever asks first, their letter is completed first. So that's one thing to take into account when you are going through the application process. Make sure you give the person at least 1 month to complete the letter of recommendation, because it's not just your letter. They could have other letters to write. So that's a good pointer, asking early. Another thing is making sure that you ask someone who you feel can give you a favorable letter of recommendation. And sometimes you think you have a good relationship with someone, but you realize that you don't actually, and this person is submitting the letter on your behalf. So you want to be really, really careful about that. And the only reason I'm mentioning this is because I have a really good work ethic, and I recently needed a letter of recommendation, and I wanted one from emergency medicine setting and one from urgent care setting. The medical director in the ER had a very jaded letter, and it actually had some negative connotation in reference to PAs in general. And that was for a job, but still, those are things to be aware of. And my ER job, I gave double the notice. I actually stayed longer once COVID happened because my plans had changed, but I think there was some animosity about the fact that my timing in leaving, but that time was arranged months before that, and I had actually been burnt out way before COVID was a thing. I lost 3 family members in a row and still extended my time. Anyways, that's besides the point. Back to letters of recommendation, I would also say be careful how you ask for them. So some people are applying for PA school and they're applying for med school. That's okay if you're that person, but I was never that person. I was only interested in being a PA. So I actually had one person say, hey, I didn't get into med school, so I'm applying for PA school. Can you write me a letter of recommendation? It didn't sit that well with me, and I feel like that letter of recommendation I didn't put as much effort into, and I'll just be honest and transparent about that. So if you are one of those people, just say, hey, I'm really interested in the profession, I really want to get into it, I really want to help people, do you mind writing me a letter? And I think that's a much better presentation. And the other thing I would say is I wrote 4. The person that I was able to give the best letter was the person that I knew the best. We were text together, so I was able to paint a picture. I told a story, so it was a very unique letter of recommendation. Also, anytime you ask for a letter of recommendation, please send the person your resume, because it helps. I usually write out the letter and then I add in certain things from the resume. Also, if you know your GPA, I would also send the person your GPA, because those sometimes I do include that as well. So that's pretty much the big thing: asking in a timely manner, asking someone who can write you a good letter of recommendation. And then I would say that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions about letters of recommendation, please feel free to ask me. You can leave it in the comments below. The last thing I would like to say is I'm going to be talking about a specialty change and different opportunities as a PA. So that's going to be coming up, and it's going to be very specific, okay? So stay tuned for more videos. Bye guys.